We're now tuned in to the First and 10 podcast brought to you by EPI Media. You can find us on EPI Media on Instagram, SoundCloud, Spotify, wherever you find your listening needs. And I'm pleased to be joined by Natey, Adjei, Montreal Alouettes wide receiver, host of the All Ball podcast, NFL, contributor on Sportsnet 5x90. You do it all, man. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man, and that's the first time I've been introduced as a Montreal Alouettes receiver. So it's nice to be on with you, Brennan, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. And I wanted to just break down as much as I can with you, of course, because I love hearing from you. I just finished listening to your podcast with Jeremiah Masoli. Holy moly, Jeremiah Masoli, really well done. It's a really good job.
Holy moly.
Yeah, but just to get back to what you said there, now being a Montreal Alouettes receiver, playing in Khari Jones' system as well too, with the likes of Vernon Adams Jr. and that team. Like, what are you looking forward to most about going to Montreal and contributing for that La Belle Province?
I'm looking for towards a lot of things. Like you mentioned, Vernon Adams and Khari Jones are obviously two main cogs in that system. But it's funny. I had Vernon Adams on my podcast, and at the time I was at Argo, and I had no idea I would be playing with him. But having him on and getting to know him a little bit more, I'm like, man, this would be I had the thought in my head, this would be a really good quarterback to play for. I mean, fun-loving guy, loves his teammates, spreads the ball around, terrific athlete. Like, anything you can ask for, he can do. He can win from the pocket. He can win with his legs, right? So I'm thinking, like, this guy would be a dope quarterback to play for, and not knowing 3-4 months later, I'm actually going to be joining him. So, a lot of positives to take. I'm very excited for the opportunity. The Montreal really, really wanted me. I honestly didn't even know I was going to be a free agent because we didn't have a season last year, and I signed in Toronto. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, we don't have a season this year. Obviously, I'm just going to be back in Toronto, but obviously the contract was just for the 2020 season, and next year's going to be the 2021 season. So things obviously reset, got to sign new contracts and things of that nature. And we've seen what Toronto has done, signed the entire world, and look like they're doing really well. So, I'm obviously a fan still, but, it's obviously got to go where you want it. And Montreal was a place that wanted me, and I'm very excited to join the team and, be part of the culture there, and then, brush up on my grade 9 French.
Bonjour. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to talk about that. And you did tweet out saying, like, I hope the CFO runs a Hard Knocks on the Toronto Argos. But personally, with me, I would love to see what Montreal does, right? The Vernon Adams is electric, yourself, you're electric. Khari Jones especially. I remember watching him as, a quarterback growing up, but him playing on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and just being a great leader. He was literally born to lead. Have you had any conversations with him? Have you chopped it up with him at all? Because, of course, he's the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach.
Yeah.
Everything. Have you had a chance to talk to him about strategy and stuff like that?
I actually haven't had a chance to talk to him. I've talked to the general manager, and, it's funny enough, Vernon Adams last year was, recruiting me to come to the team. So, we've been talking a lot, and he's super excited. So I've only been able to talk to him, Vernon Adams, the GM, a few of the other coaches that are on the staff, and obviously Eric Delorier's, who used to play, now is in the front office there. So, I've talked to everyone, and I'm looking forward to talking to the coach once things get rolling.
Absolutely, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing you with the Alouettes too, right, going forward. But I want to talk to you about just what you're doing right now, especially in this time during the pandemic. And I'm a big fan of the All Ball podcast. I listen to a number of the podcasts you guys that you have out there. Doing a great job getting these guests and whatnot and chopping it up. But what have you, with that, especially with doing the training sessions with Jamaica, say Jaja Binks on Instagram. Yeah. What are you enjoying the most about what you're stepping out to right now with the extra time you have, throughout this pandemic? Which one are you excited about?
Yeah, like you mentioned, there's been a lot of extra time, and before the pandemic, it was all football, and then when it wasn't football, it was training for football, right? So with the pandemic, it gave me an opportunity to step back and ask myself, like, what do I really enjoy other than football? Then I came up with a list of things I like doing, and obviously, like you, I like the media aspect of sports a lot. Ever since I was a kid, being able to watch sports with my dad, listen to the Fan 590 with my dad when we were in the car. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I told myself, that's something I want to do. I mean, I enjoy talking to guys. Obviously, I need training of some sort. And I was able to get that, this year with, being able to contribute with the Fan 590. And, one of their producers heard my podcast and thought I'd be, a good addition to their team. So that's been really fun. been getting a lot of reps, on air and being able to perfect my game so that once football is done, I can, seamlessly step into that. But along with that, like you mentioned, I've been doing training with Jaja Banks. We train adults that, are looking for a fun way to train athletically. Jaja used to play as well. He played in college and had a cup of coffee with the Ticats. And, he's an energetic guy like myself. And we try to bring that aspect that a lot of people are missing in their training and, set them off to work all energetic. So we like doing that. And along with that, I do training with young kids as well, who during the pandemic have had all their sports canceled, right? Baseball, football, basketball, everything has been canceled. So we've been getting together. I put them through all different kind of movements, all different kind of sports specific movements, especially in football. They love football, so we always end up doing a lot of football so that once the sports do come back, they're ready to go and they don't miss a beat. And then as well as spending a lot of time with the family, right? I miss a lot of time with the family, sacrificing for football and games, travel, training, all this stuff. So I've gotten a chance to be, a stay-at-home dad where, I'm doing drop-offs, I'm doing lunches, I'm doing, watching Moana a million times, memorizing the songs. So I'm doing all of that, and it's been really fun, man. I don't want to like it too much because I don't want the fire of football to end, but I'm actually having a great time. And, I'm hoping we do have a season, but if not, like I've gotten into a good groove where, I'm happy with, the way things are progressing off the field. So I'm just trying to take advantage of, the time I've had. And that's one thing that I feel like everybody could do. It's like, you never know, like whatever you're doing, it could be gone. Like football for me was something I did my whole life, right? Every single year, it was something to look forward to football. And this year, out of nowhere, it's taken away, right? And just like a lot of people in the world, a lot of their jobs or a lot of their businesses were taken away. And, it's hard to, find something else that you love doing, but it's part of life, and that's something that I don't look at as a negative. Obviously, if you lost your business, that's the negative. But you always have the opportunity to bounce back and find something else that you love, and that's something that I take pride in, is always seeing the positive in every situation.
Absolutely, man. And wanted to mention too, what with doing the training with kids or even with adults as well too. The next Lady Ballers camp, I believe you're doing it, or you have 100% of the proceeds are going towards Lady Baller camp, which focuses on developing, girl centered programs for emotional. I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. You guys are putting that all to words. It just shows that you're a great example for young kids and for everyone altogether. Everything I see you do, I'm like, it's just an inspiration. So thank you for that. It's especially, and it's great to see young Black men especially doing a lot of things you're doing, man. So I want to tell you that.
Man, that means a lot, man. I appreciate that. Oftentimes when in this world or social media, people see people doing stuff, and the immediate reaction is to, wow, man, why is he doing that? Why? But my reaction is always, man, that's amazing. He's stepping up. He's doing something great. He's stepping out of his comfort zone, right? So I appreciate you doing that, and I'm like that too. Where if I see somebody doing something great, I always want to let them know that they're doing great things and to keep going, because we need more of that in the world.
Absolutely, man. That's an absolute fact. And I want to go now to the CBC article you wrote as well too. What about Black History Month, Black Present Month as well, right? You got a chance to write that, and the story you told right in the first paragraph about you didn't know, you're just being a regular teenager, and of course you're down. You had to go through that traumatic experience, but everything for your, like, especially you as such a positive person, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's like we are being racially profiled in certain cases. And I thought that you wrote a great piece there. If you have not read it yet, please go on to CBC and look for Natey Adjei's what about Black Present Month. I too am a proponent of the fact that it shouldn't be simply just 1 month, right? This is Black history, especially the teacher too. This is something I try to put to words. But how did that process go as well too? Were you a journalism grad in university? Is that something you did?
Man, not at all. Not at all. Honestly, CBC, I don't know why they reached out to me. I don't know. They must have been seeing some of the things I've been doing, but they reached out to me and asked me if I would write something on Black History Month. And I told the guys, like, I like Black History Month, but I don't really agree with it 100% because I feel like it should be 12 months of the year. We shouldn't just be subjected to 1 month, right? So And he's like, man, I like that. Can you just put your thoughts on paper and then, we'll go from there? And I'm like, yeah, I would love to. So they reached out to me and asked me to write the piece, and I wrote it. I just shared my thoughts. I thought it'd be powerful if I started with, an experience that I went through, how I originally, I'm like, this is when I was growing up watching sports, you think, hard work, discipline, everything you see, depicted as, what's going to help you rise in the world of sports. You figure, that translates to real life. And to me, I learned the hard way that it doesn't always translate to real life. There's always some underlining stuff, even with women, with the glass ceiling, and with us Black men, there's, these things that you don't always see, but are there. I just wanted to make people aware that, stuff like that is there. And we have Black History Month, and I guess it's a time to outline it. But the whole message of what I want to get through is that, we should be not just celebrating Black History Month by, showing Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or telling their stories. That should be the baseline. That should be, given, right? We should be doing that all year round anyway, because it's part of history. But we should be, trying to contribute to Black funds or Black businesses, or ways to help Black people out in this country and around the world, not just in Black History Month, but all throughout every month of the year. And that's something that I want to outline while writing that. And I'm happy people enjoyed it. It came out as I started getting my thoughts down, it started flowing, and it came out a lot better than I originally thought. But that's kind of how that process went. And I'm happy I got my thoughts on paper, because a lot of people hit me up and be like, I had this thought, and and I'm happy somebody said it.
Good, man. No, trust me, I definitely related to it. And what we'll do is put it in OXB. I'll put a little link for those that haven't read it. We'll put it there for everyone to see it. I think it's important. I did want to ask you about the situation. Of course, we all miss CFL football, man. Like, I grew up with it. Of course, we all miss it. Of course, you miss playing in this world too. But seeing the likes of, say, Brandon Banks past week saying that, if he doesn't play this year, he's going to retire. And then, of course, there are other reports saying that they're going to have a season, but at the same time, June or July might be a write-off. Like, what is your take on the season and how they're going to – having 2 years taken is going to be traumatic. It's not going to be good. I don't think – well, what is your view on the way that CFO is conducting himself in this time as well too? Because I think there could be alternatives made. Many other leagues have done it.
You know what? One thing I always come back to is we need more transparency with the CFL. Like, we have a league in Canada where people are really interested in, and especially guys like you, like, we grew up with it, right? We were watching it as kids and we're interested. We have guys that we're connected to, and that's across the country, and people are interested in the league. And for the league to be really quiet and not transparent at what's going on, what are you guys thinking, is it's unfortunate. You want to know more, especially guys that are playing. Like, we have to make plans based on, what this league is doing, right? So, for it to be really quiet, and I know the commissioner came out and said today that, their plan is to play, but they obviously have to look at, alternatives just in case, things come up and things of that nature. Obviously, he's playing both sides. Of course, he has to do that, but just have more transparency for us fans, for us players especially, because we have to make decisions based on what's happening. If the CFL doesn't play this year, I know Brandon Banks said he doesn't think he's playing. I don't think I'm going to play. And I don't think a lot of guys will play again, because that's 2 years of sitting out. Obviously for this year, I was able to, do other stuff outside of football that I love. And given 2 years, I'm going to be even deeper in those things, and it'll be even harder to get out. And that's the same for a lot of guys. A lot of guys this year got into things that they love doing, and they were scared that they were going to love it so much that they wouldn't come back to football, right? And it's not – the CFL is not a league where it's the NFL where guys are making millions of dollars and you can't give up millions of dollars, right? So it's a tough situation for the league. If they don't play this year, a lot of guys won't play. Even this year, you've seen guys retire before the season even starts. You're going to see even more guys that, have already decided after not playing last year are going to retire, and you're going to see the announcements start coming. And that's a lot of things I heard a lot of that last year, and I think 2 years would just be damaging for the league. I don't see how a league could play after missing 2 years. And I also read an article that, the CFL probably doesn't want to do this, but it might be better for the league to sit out 2 years. I don't agree with that. I think we have to play this year. We're seeing every single league play. Every single league is. I've seen under 19 boys soccer playing, right? Like, how are they playing, but we're not playing? So I think we have to find a way to play. You see college football playing. You see NFL football playing. I'm seeing leagues in Europe playing. We have to find a way to play. Whether you lose money this year, that's okay. But going forward, you're gonna get it back because you put your product out there. I feel like just not playing this year would be the end of it for a lot of the CFL, and that just can't happen.
It can't. It just can't. It just doesn't make any sense. And I just want not even like obviously for the players, but just for everyone, transparency for all. Man, it's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna ask you like with all this happening, especially with Toronto signing all these guys, like which team are you most looking forward to compete with, or what's the most interesting thing you've seen in the landscape of the year? And I have a double question after. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it, man. Like, obviously Toronto signing like literally every guy that was available to be signed. That's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of talk in the league, and it looks like on paper like a hell of a team, like a dream team kind of team, right? And that's the kind of I tweeted that that's the kind of team you want to see in Hard Knocks, like the behind the scenes, like what the training camp battles are going to be like, what the interactions with the players are going to be. So many good players under one roof, right? They can't all make the team, but the battles are going to be unbelievable. And that's the team, I have my eye on. Like, it's interesting. They've created a lot of buzz, which is great for, football in Toronto, and, trying to get more seats, more people in the seats once they can return. I feel they went about the right way. MLSE obviously has deeper pockets, so they can take these chances in signing a lot of players like this where other teams can't. But obviously, that's a team I think the whole league is looking forward to seeing, because you just have, literally roster turnover, unbelievable. So many great players under one roof. Obviously, the team, another team I'm looking forward to competing against and watching is Hamilton, right? Because, they're coming off a Grey Cup appearance. They brought back Masoli. They brought back literally everyone on the team, right? It's the same team trying to run it back. And there's going to be this battle between continuity or, all-star on paper team, right? So I want to see how that rolls, because in basketball, we know how it goes in basketball. You put like a great team together, it's gonna click and it's gonna work, a lot easier than in football, where it's so many moving pieces, and you really need your quarterback to be that main guy, or it doesn't matter what else you have on the roster. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see how that's going to roll. And obviously my own team in Montreal, and they had the same philosophy as kind of Hamilton, bringing a lot of the same core guys back and adding a piece here and there, especially on the defense side of the ball. So, we're going to see how it plays out. But the East Division is really exciting.
Really exciting, man, and we're gonna definitely see. And I'm looking forward for you to come back to Toronto. Hopefully, when they do it, I'm gonna just throw it out. Hopefully, speak into existence that it happens. Yes. You mentioned NCAA, of course, NCAA playing with Alabama winning, and of course being a Brampton native, and Southern Ontario in general. Yes. John Mechie, you have Josh Palmer from Tennessee as well too. How proud are you of those guys? Especially at the wide receiver position, to be doing your thing down south. And like, how proud are you, man? Like, you paved the way for these guys, right?
Yeah, man, I'm super proud. It's like it's literally they're living the dream, man. Because I remember when I was a kid, watching the NCAA and thinking to myself, man, there are literally no Canadians I have to look up to, right? Like I had the dreams of going to the NCAA and playing at a big school like they're doing, but I didn't have the path. And the biggest thing for these guys, they're inspiring a generation of kids growing up that are seeing a John Mechie, seeing a Josh Palmer, and they're going to be like, I can do it too, because I'm literally watching a guy from my city, from Peel region, playing on the big stage, right? So just like what Vince Carter did for basketball in Canada, these guys are going to do for a generation of football players coming up. And I can already see it. I'm so proud, especially at the receiver position. I know how difficult it is for someone from Canada to, excel down there. And for them to do it, it means more, man. It really does, because growing up, football isn't what it is in the States, right? It isn't eat, sleep, drink football, right? They're probably, playing other sports and doing other things, but they're competing against guys at the highest level that from birth, from when they're, their moms was changing their bums, that they were thinking about football. They were literally bred for football. So like I said, it means more for guys like that to go dominate, especially at the skill positions, because, we've seen linemen, be able to go down there and have success. Big guys, right? But skill positions where speed, athleticism, explosiveness is very important. It's really really cool to see, and I'm really proud, man. Especially like I said, at the receiver position, that's phenomenal. I wish those guys nothing but the best.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm looking forward to them even just progressing too. But I want you to put your hat on, similar to what you would do with Sam McKee and Brent Gunning. I actually used to be an intern at Sportsnet 590, so I know those guys pretty good. But
Great guys, right?
Yeah, good guys, really good guys, of course, right? Myself and Mike Roach from the Ultimate Media were both at Sportsnet 590 for junior university going forward. But anyway, now I'll start with this. You see Tom Brady's success in the NFL, right? Now we have 7 Super Bowls, but he's had 10 top 10 defenses that accompanied him, right? Compared to a guy like Matt Stafford that has only had 1 top 10 defense in his career, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that has a lot to do with a quarterback's success at the highest level, or is that something that just is a coincidence altogether?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, okay, let's go to this. Tom Brady, early in his career, right? They talk about him and Belichick and who's more responsible for the success there, right? I feel like Tom Brady, if he had been on a different team and it wasn't the Patriots and he wasn't able to be a game manager early in his career, it wouldn't have worked out the same way. Like, he obviously wanted to be great, but he needed a team just like the Patriots that suited his style, right? Like, early in his career, like a lot of people forget, like, he was a dink and dunk quarterback. Don't make mistakes, right? Then he kept working and grew into this unbelievable when he had the weapons, being able to throw a deep ball and make every kind of throw. But at first, he needed the Patriot style. They were a defensive special teams type of team, disciplined team, don't make mistakes type of team early in his career. Like, I guarantee you, if he was on Detroit, it would have been the same results as Matt Stafford, no matter how great Tom Brady is now. Now, if you put Matt Stafford on the Patriots when Tom Brady got there, he would have the same. Honestly, if he doesn't get hurt, he would have the same amount of rings, because Matt Stafford, talent-wise, has more talent than Tom Brady. I don't know about mentality. That Tom Brady just has a killer mentality, especially in the clutch, right? But I would bet my money that Matt Stafford would have, give or take 1 or 2 more or less rings than Tom Brady, just because of the team, the structure that he's in. So to answer your question, I think Matt Stafford as a talent is, he was a number 1 pick for a reason, right? As a talent, he's a better talent than Tom Brady. I'm not saying he's a better quarterback. He's a better talent than Tom Brady. You put him in that same situation, similar results if he stays healthy. You put Tom Brady in the situation of Matt Stafford early in his career, probably losing and not as great as numbers, and he probably gets pulled at some point, right? So it's all about situation, especially in football, man. You need the right situation. That's why you see, like, I'll take it to the receiver-wise. You see a guy like Wes Welker, he's in Miami. They have him on special teams, returning kicks. He'll go in for a series here or there on offense. He gets to New England. The system suits him so well. He ends up having, almost a Hall of Fame career because he's in the right system, right? So in football, it's the number 1 sport where a system can make or break you.
Man, that's a great answer. I don't know if Matt Stafford would have 7 rings, but I think definitely better talent.
He'd be close, man. He'd be close.
He'd definitely be close. And speaking of that, well, with that being said, seeing the Super Bowl last week, were you surprised? Like, everyone and their mother took the Chiefs in that game, right?
Yeah.
Everything pointing to that game being a high-scoring game and whatnot. But did you bet with the Buccaneers, or did you bet against them with the Chiefs? Like, what was your take? Were you surprised of how the result was?
I'll be honest. I had the Chiefs winning. Like, I had the Chiefs winning just because I have not seen a team be able to, for 4 quarters, beat the Chiefs when it mattered most. We haven't seen it for 2 years, right? So I was with the Chiefs. I underestimated how important having 3 starting linemen out was. I underestimated that 100%. I think the rest of the world did, because we've seen Mahomes be able to do all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, Tampa Bay's D-line was the top D-line in the NFL for a reason. They had the number 1 defense for a reason. And I just keep kicking myself, because linemen are so important, but it's the power of Mahomes, man. He makes you believe he can make magic out of nothing. And he's done it for so long, but at a certain point with this number 1 defense and all their linemen can get to the quarterback, all the linemen can create pressure, and you got backups going against, these stud linemen. That's the result you're going to see. And they're lucky it wasn't even a bigger blow up because Mahomes was making, I don't know, he was making some magic happen, right? So honestly, I all hats to him because even in the loss, he still saw his greatness. And hats off to him for sure. But I did not see that coming at all, man. I was like everybody else, where I thought, Kansas City was able to roll them. But now everybody understands how important linemen are, especially when you're going against a number one defense.
Yeah, it's 100%. And one thing too that I have to mention is like all they did was bracket Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and they did it. And it makes you think like, did no one else figure out how to stop these guys? Because
you know what? No, you know what? Teams have tried to do that, right? So teams will try to bracket Tyreek Hill, but then Kelce will. You don't have a linebacker, the caliber of Tampa Bay's linebackers are able to stay around Kelce, right? And then even when you do and you bracket and you got Kelce balled up a little bit, Mahomes is able to buy time, right? And then if it's man coverage, he's able to run. If it's zone, he's able to run around the pocket, and then Kelce late will break one way or break another way, then find the holes, right? But the thing is, they had no time. Like that coverage, it sounds good in theory, but when Mahomes is back there buying time, and you're having to cover for 4, 5, 6 seconds, you have no chance because Kelce's just too slippery. Tyreek Hill is just too fast, and then you got Hardman. Another Blazer, will find some space too. So it sounds good in theory, but the lineman situation was what really wrecked the game for Kansas City.
It's surprising that they win, but like Tom Brady. That team, that situation. You even tweeted that, and this is a great tweet. I actually thought about it like a few days ago. I was like, wow, that's true. Tom Brady's more likely to win a Super Bowl than Steph Curry is to make a 3-point shot, which is ridiculous. But that's actually what happened, right? So I thought that was interesting, man. But going to just another thing too. What is your take of Carson Wentz now being on the Indianapolis Colts? Them leaving, like they get Sirianni there, and I've had a few people on that's played for Sirianni, and they said like he's not ready, this and that for the coach. But what's your take of like? Do you think that team Indianapolis will actually be a playoff team now with Carson Wentz?
Okay, so last year Indianapolis, they looked like they're close, right? And the only thing holding them back at times, Phil Rivers had a great season, but it seemed like he was holding them back a little. They had a top 5 defense, great special teams. Great running back in Jonathan Taylor. T.Y. Hilton was solid. They need some help with the receivers, but it didn't matter. They're such a solid team. And I think a good quarterback, if they had Stafford, I would pick them to be in the Super Bowl. But they don't have Stafford. They got Carson Wentz. And the Carson Wentz I saw last year, if he's in Indy, anywhere near Indy, I don't give him any chance of being successful. But the good thing for Carson Wentz is he's going to a coach he's familiar with, right? Right. He was with him. He was his quarterback coach in Philadelphia. And apparently they're really good friends. And as soon as he left Philadelphia, that's when it went downhill for Carson Wentz. So he's got that. He's got an offseason where he's going to a coach he's familiar with. He knows nothing motivates you more than being traded, released, or, going to a new team where, you have all the motivation in the world. So if we're ever going to see the best Carson Wentz, it has to be in this situation. And that's the only reason I think it might work, because the team is good. Like Philadelphia wasn't great last year. This team is good. They've got solid pieces around. And it has to work, or Carson Wentz's career might be over, honestly. Because if it doesn't work with the coach that you're familiar with, the team that's really good, where is it going to work, right? So I think he went to the place where it best suits, where he has best chance for success, and good for Philadelphia. I mean, they're taking the biggest cap hit in the history of football to unload a guy that they don't think is a great quarterback, and that's good for them. I mean, it's unbelievable now, because we used to think that teams would never trade a guy with that much hit on their cap, that $33 million hit on the cap hit. It really prevents them from getting top end players to complete that team, but they felt that they needed to do it to give Jalen Hurts a good opportunity to succeed. So happy for Philadelphia, happy for Jalen Hurts, because we get another black quarterback in the NFL, with the ability to do his thing. So I'm happy for that. And Carson Wentz, I mean, if it's gonna work, it has to work in this situation. The Colts didn't give up too much for him. They understand that they had a need at quarterback. He fits their need. Hopefully they can fix him and go from there. But if he can look like anything like his first couple of years, man, that's a Super Bowl caliber team.
Absolutely, because you have Leonard as the defense is good. Defense is good.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman. I got a few guys that can catch the ball as well too. So hopefully that team pans out. But you keep mentioning Matt Stafford. You say, hey, if Matt Stafford's on this team, this will happen. If
I
Matt
love
Stafford's
him.
really happening, you love Matt Stafford, obviously. He's a gunslinger. But him being on in LA now, and of course, Jared Goff coming to Detroit. This is one of my last NFL questions. Do you think that the LA Rams are Super Bowl ready right now to come and the best team in the NFC West right now? Like, which do you think this team can actually take the next step? Because if you think about their offense, they have Robert Woods, they have Cooper Kupp doing a lot of those reverses. They have them doing it's a very weird kind of offense, but they do air it out in that system. But do you think Matt Stafford actually will complement them better? Obviously, they're complement better, but is this team ready to make a push in the playoffs?
100%, bro. Think about this. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago with Jared Goff as their quarterback, with Sean McVay having to literally, spoon feed Jared Goff to every completion he had. McVay had to have guys going left, right, center just to create openings for him to, every play action just to, for him to be able to complete passes. Jared Goff wasn't the greatest quarterback. And McVay I don't know what the greatest meal is, but he made some magic happen, man. He made something happen out of nothing. So honestly, with him having Stafford there, it creates a whole different world for them, man. They're going to be able to open up this offense a lot better than they have been in the past. They don't have to set everything up with play action. Like you said, they got playmakers, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, obviously great playmaker, Cam Akers in the backfield, Higbee at tight end. He's got weapons that he's never had before. Like Stafford has never had a 1,000-yard running back and a top 5 defense, like you mentioned. He's got both now, right? He's got both at his disposal. He's got an unbelievable head coach who literally was working with Jared Goff and took Jared Goff to a Super Bowl. Like, that's unbelievable, man. So, honestly, I think this team, the sky's the limit. That's a top 5 defense right there, man. And they went to the division round against Green Bay, and they surprisingly hung in there, right? And you could tell with Jared Goff with an injured thumb, right? So that's a team I'm looking forward to watching this year because that offense is going to look completely different. That defense is going to be what that defense is. They don't care about first-round picks. They want high-end talent. And I'm excited because he unlocks a lot of that talent, man. And you're gonna see Robert Woods doing a lot of different kind of routes, Cooper Kupp doing a lot of different kind of routes. They're gonna be running these routes knowing they can be hit, actually, right? It's not gonna be one hop in there like some of the times Jared Goff was doing it. So, no disrespect to Jared Goff, man, but he's not on the same level as Matt Stafford. This guy is like, top of the line. Elite quarterback arm. I just want to see him finally in a good system, man, because, it's saddening watching guys in Detroit with like Megatron, him, and in the past, Barry Sanders, right, just rotting away like historically talented players. You want to see him with great quarterbacks, right? You don't want to see them with great coaches. You want to see them great defenses. You want to see them great teams. And LA is a great team, and I'm really, really excited to watch them this year.
That's great, man. That's a great answer. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope everything you just said, comes into fruition for that team. But I wanted to ask you about, of course, initially talking about Kari Jones being, a great player that I looked up to watch when I was younger. And I remember you tweeting too that I believe it was Craig Yeast is the one of the receivers that you I remember seeing that too. But which wide receiver when you're growing up did you look up to the most, or look at like their game? It could be Stiegel, but which guy did you look up to the most when you were growing up to?
Dude, like you said, like Stiegel was great, Simon was great. The Argos had a bunch of guys. I remember Robert Baker, the touchdown maker, Andre Talbot, one of the Canadian receivers, Tony Miles. But the guy that I really looked up to, and I can't put my finger on why. Like, it's like that music artist you like, but like you don't know why you like him. You just like his swag. You just like the way the words come out of the mouth. You like the beats he chooses, right? My guy was Arlen Bruce, man. Arlen Bruce, when he came to the Argos, man, he just come from the NFL, and he came up here. And he was a newer player, but he always had that swagger about him. Like, he always was like the best receiver that ever lived, right? And for some reason, I just love that about him. Every time he catch the ball, he'd walk back to the huddle like, man, I'm doing something out here. It's just everything about it. I loved him. He wore a single-digit number. Love that. White gloves. Love that. Black shoes. Spray painted black shoes. It looked fresh every game. The swagger was on point. Game was even better. And then I got a chance to meet him when I was like 15 years old, man. And it was really cool guy, really down to earth. And it really made an impression on me. And ever since then, I'm like, that's my guy. You know, I mean, we're like similar heights. Well, not back then, but like he's like 5'10", I'm like 5'11".
Right.
So similar the height, similar. I modeled my game after him. So that was my guy, man.
Definitely, that's a great answer. Allen Bruce, number 5. Number 5, yes.
Yes, yeah. Allen Bruce the third.
Yeah, so he was nice growing up. But I think a lot of kids growing up, especially when they see you play in Montreal, whatever, wherever, they're gonna think the same thing, right? Same thing about you, man. But hey, really appreciate having you on, man. You're a role model for a lot. I look forward to the stuff you put out, man. Great stuff. We can find you on Twitter at Tay_11. Is everything to find you at? Yeah, and of course, all ball podcasts as well. You want to give any shout outs? You want to talk about it? Whatever you want to say, man.
Nah, man. Honestly, I appreciate you having me on, thinking of me as a guest for this show. I appreciate what you do, man, for the podcast. It's good for kids coming up to see young black men doing their thing. You're definitely doing your thing, man. And I wish you nothing but best of luck. And anything you need, man, anytime you need me or you need a guest, man, hit me up, man. And happy to help out anywhere I can, man. I appreciate you once again for having me on, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Definitely. And what I'll do during the year too, probably even call you back on. Hopefully when you are playing and then when you're I'll be there as well too. So, man, best of luck to you. I hope everything's great with the family. Hope you don't get too used to dropping here and there.
Yeah.
But thank you for having you on, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Have a good one, man. Take care. Stay safe, man. Anytime you need me, I got you.
Definitely, man. This is the First and 10 podcast. Keep balling.